This week on ConQuest 200, we're going to go and de-antler some of the bucks here on the farm. We're going to pick out 2 bucks for the genetics program.
That happens as a yearling, but you can see the mass that he has, the webbing already started. Yeah, it's just a 1-year-old.
Then we're going to take you to the Davison SCI Flint Youth Buck Poll.
The SCI chapter, ConQuest Deer Farms. It's Doug Roberts' operation.
And then out with Cody Robbins on a youth hunt using a crossbow. Stay with us right here on ConQuest 200.
Darren, give me the money train, buddy.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the creation of the white-tailed deer. May we grow with knowledge to preserve what you have given us as we are in amazement of this animal. May it remind us of your glory and your presence in our lives.
We pray that your Holy Spirit will guide us to be respectful of your creation
as our souls find peace
in the great outdoors. Amen.
ConQuest 200 is brought to you by Key Apparel, makers of Polar King. Rule the elements. Today on ConQuest Deer Farm, Doug Roberts continues the process of de-antlering bucks. Due to the weather and the busy season of manufacturing scents, his schedule was pushed back. Now he's running out of time. Soon his bucks will turn their sparring play into full-blown fights. It's a scenario that could result in death. At sunrise, Doug started the process by tranquilizing the remaining 2-year-old bucks. Now that help has arrived, the crew begins their day.
So it's on the fly, so cool. Kawasaki, it'd be nice to get Kawasaki in there. We don't always have a cameraman at will here, so it's Michael, or now it's me. Michael wasn't able to be here today, so it's me. And I have to say I'm not too shabby, because if I was, our producer Dave Boise would probably correct me a bit, but he actually complimented me. We're recording.
Well, this morning we finally got cool temperatures, so we're going to go out and finish darting the 2-year-old bucks and de-antlering them. In that group is Talon's 2-year-old. All summer we have not been able to figure out which buck is his. We couldn't get a tag number, so if we can get all of those darted today, we're going to find out whose Talon's buck is, what he looks like, move him over with the other group. And then we also have 2 yearling bucks that we're going to pull out as breeders. They've kind of made that standard at their age, so trying to get 9 bucks this morning and keep everybody calm. So. Well, in the group of deer that we have left, Talon has his buck. Each one of the workers, I've given them a doe, and they've had fawns, and Talon actually had a buck fawn that now is of age. So I'm excited to find out which one is his. He's excited to find out, but there's also a very good buck in this group, and to be honest, I'm hoping it's mine. Of course, he's hoping it's his.
The good buck could potentially give Talon a future genetic line of his own. He has high hopes that the best typical buck is his. Time will tell. The process continues as each remaining buck is hog-tied, documented by number, and photographed before their antlers are removed.
A lot of people don't realize is a deer has bottom teeth, but no upper teeth in the front. So they actually pinch and tear their food if it's grass or leaves or something like that. So just bottom teeth. Now in the back, which is hard to see, they have top and bottom chewers for grinding their food and then chewing a cud like a cow would. Teeth both in front and back, but in the front they don't have any top teeth at all. Kind of different.
Along with de-antlering the 2-year-olds, Doug also has to find his 1-year-old breeder bucks he previously selected.
What I'm excited about is I get to look at the genetics. I get to pick 2 of these young bucks out as breeder bucks, backup bucks in the breeding program. A lot of people pick by the pedigree on paper. I do it a little different. I look at the deer first, the antlers on the head, the structure of it. If I like the looks of it, then I go look at the pedigree, and if it all matches up, it goes into the breeding program. So I've already kind of done that part of it. Take a second look at them, move them into the breed pens.
One of the 2 nicest yearlings we have, and it's a different genetic line, so I'm kind of excited about getting him into a breed pen. He's got good width, got some extras, but he can have that. But what's nice about it is he's wide. He's a nice typical 10 on this side. A little messed up on this side, but that happens as a yearling. But you can see the mass that he has, the webbing already started. And so I like that look also. So he's going to go into pen 1 and breed some does for us, and we'll see how he does. It's a pretty deer.
Coming up next, the new breeder bucks are moved to their breeding pens. And later, the search continues for Talon's buck. All this and more on ConQuest 200.
ConQuest Deer Farms. That's Doug Roberts' operation. They've been a big backing and help us all the time.
This segment was brought to you by Henchart Chiropractic. We get your back in the game. ConQuest 200 is brought to you by Key Apparel, makers of Polar King. Rule the elements. By ConQuest Scents, makers of Evercalm and VS1. By Grizzly Coolers and United Deer Farmers of Michigan. And Armada Grain Company. And by 10 Point Crossbows. Doug Roberts is vaccinating and de-antlering all of his younger bucks before the whitetail rut. Removing their antlers is a precautionary move to prevent injury or death. 2 of these bucks have been selected to keep their set of antlers on. They are the best typical-looking 1-year-olds that Doug has high hopes for, and he's excited to call them the new breeder bucks on the farm.
This big sexy son, we're going to name him Kaiser, is the biggest of all the yearlings. Not balanced perfectly, but a lot of antler, and you can see that the shape, the frame is going to be there. One of the things that's very key is leave the antlers on, because he's going to have to breed older does, younger does and older does. If you take the antlers off, some of those older does are dominant enough that they will actually get aggressive towards a 1-year-old buck and can get them to back down. With leaving his antlers on, he will control and dominate all of the does, no matter what the age is. And we're going to give him a pretty hefty dose of about 15 does to breed. Well, the second buck that I chose was a white oak son, and we're going to name him Ruler. He is a very typical, well-framed 10-point. Now, white oak was a phenomenal 6x6, just one of those bucks that just tripped my trigger, as I kind of say. And so I finally feel I have a good son out of him. So his name is Ruler. We're going to move him to pen 7. He's going to end up with about 12 to 15 does also to breed.
Now that the new breeder bucks are in place, the impact they'll make on the future of ConQuest Deer Farm is still unknown. And the same goes for Talon's buck. Not finding the correct tag number means the process of elimination is down to the last 2, one of which is a good typical 10.
Part of me, yes, hopes it's his because it will do well for him. The other part of me is this is what I do for a living. I raise good-looking typical bucks, and that is a good typical, and wouldn't mind owning it.
Well, I don't want to kill him, so it's not worth pushing the issue.
Well, I don't want you to either.
I've just come to the realization we have 2 2-year-old bucks left, and they are stressed out. They're running, they're not settling down. We will have to come back in a few days, once they've settled down and the weather's right, and dart those 2 last bucks and get them moved with the rest of the group.
They were running around, breathing hard, and there's no sense pushing the issue. So we'll dart them next week when it's cool and get the last 2 moved, and then we can move the yearling bucks into that pen. Time will tell.
I might take that to a depot.
All you, man. 50 bucks.
Michigan kicks off its whitetail season with a special youth hunt. The goal is to get young people outdoors and experience the tradition of hunting.
Yeah, this is my first deer I got. It's an 11 point. I used a 50 caliber muzzle loader.
In Michigan, we have this weekend in September, really 2 days, 2.5 days, where we as parents and older hunters can get the youth out and they're able to hunt and harvest. So it's always exciting for us here at ConQuest to go up and see that buck pull, see the bucks that have been shot by these young kids, boys and girls. And we had a great turnout this year. There was a lot of people, and it was fun to see all of the different sizes of bucks on that buck pull.
Oh, there you go.
When we come back from break, we're going to go to the Davison Youth Buck Pull.
Let's give everybody a hand here with all their deer up there. They did a fine job.
And we're going to take you out on a youth crossbow hunt with Cody Robbins.
He's getting up. Take your safety off.
Stay with us right here on ConQuest 200.
Oh, he heard your safety.
This segment was brought to you by High Rack Ranch of Michigan. This week's tip from the Deer Professor is brought to you by Heat Seeker.
You know, more now than ever, hunters are starting to concentrate on feeding the wild deer herd. The problem is, in the market, we basically have supplemental feeds or mineral mixes, and those fix part of the problems, but it doesn't give them a complete food source. The other thing is we do it seasonally, and a true feeding program needs to be year-round. I want to introduce you to Herd Evolution. This is a product that I've been working with a couple gentlemen on for the last couple of years, and what we have come up with is a year-round complete feeding program. Now, what we have in this formula, it's called a grind in a mix. It's a loose formula because this will actually hold up a little bit better than just a normal pellet. It had pellets in it, but it holds up better in the weather, the nasty conditions, especially in winter. But what this formula does is it gives them all of the vitamins, the minerals, and the protein and energy levels that they need in 100% digestible intake form. In other words, for every mouthful, they get more nutrients into their system. What does this mean? This means that their immune system gets built up, their body gets built up, and the healthier a deer is, the more ability he has to fight off diseases, bacterias, and other things that they get into their system. It means a healthier deer herd, which means bigger antlers and more fawn production. Herd Evolution. Check them out at herdevolution.com.
And the list of sponsors is growing yearly.
We are in Davison, Michigan. It's very important to support the Flint SEI chapter. And when you see the kids come together, the parents come together, the DNR, the Safari Club International guys all come together for the same mission. But to come together helps us to understand the bigger picture, that we're all in this world together, and the outdoors is one of the greatest resources God has ever given us.
He's getting up. Take your safety off. No, no. Oh, he heard your safety.
ConQuest Scents ambassador and Live to Hunt TV show host Cody Robbins is lending his skills of mule deer hunting to a father and son team. Their plan is to stalk into range close enough for a crossbow shot.
24 yards from this buck. Jaren is set up perfectly. You drilled him. You just drilled that buck. You drilled him, bud. Oh, watch this. Watch this. Oh. Watch this. Oh. Watch this.
Oh.
Jared.
Oh my.
Jared, give me the money train, buddy. Unbelievable. Jared, retire, buddy. You just go through your retirement party of hunting as a mule deer hunter because it's all over. You're never gonna get one bigger. And you just shot him with a 10-point crossbow at 24 yards. Brian, do you believe it?
I don't believe it.
He smoked him, hey?
Smoked him.
Oh, good for you, bud. Oh, you're shaking, hey?
Crossbow hunting is that transition where it's a comfortable feeling. A lot of these kids have held a gun and now they can hold a crossbow that feels the same, but yet you have the closeness of a bow. And Cody and Fred have spent a lot of time trying to get the youth into the great outdoors, and it's a wonderful transition with crossbows.
And we did it, buddy. Brian.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for giving me the chance to be here with you and your son.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
Look at that thing, man.
Oh, Jared. Are you kidding me, kid? Whoa.
Holy.
I can't believe we had the opportunity to sneak up on this buck twice and the day turned out like it did. I can't believe it, Brian.
Incredible.
Isn't it awesome?
Incredible.
How proud are you right now of your son?
Very proud.
Coming up next on ConQuest 200, we're going to find out just what Talon's buck really looks like. Stay with us right here on ConQuest 200.
ConQuest 200 is brought to you by Key Apparel, makers of Polar King, Rule the Elements. By ConQuest Scents, makers of Evercom and VS1. By Van Beek Natural Science, and by Ray C's The Extreme Store. By VersaSkins and Herd Evolution, premium deer feed. Back on the farm, the crew begins another day. With 2 bucks left to de-antler, the hope is that Talon will find out if his buck is the big typical.
Stay up high through here. I'm going to go down so you can, I don't think he's here, but I think he's laying right down over there. That's where I left. You know, through this whole process, there was 20-some bucks that we had to dart, de-antler, and move. And it's come down to these last 2. And so we're tying up the first one of these 2, and Talon and I go up and I start tying up the legs, and right away he's got to go look at the tag. And it wasn't his tag number. So in his mind, the only one left is the one laying over there, the good looking one. And so he is just pumped. He's like, yes, this isn't it. It's gotta be the one over there. For me being a dad, I was happy for him. I was just like, you know what? It was a fun competition. Talon's gonna win. Talon's gonna have the best looking deer out of these 2 that are left. I'm proud of it, and hopefully it'll grow bigger and better for him next year. We just found out was Talon's buck is, and it's the nice 10 last one that we got to pick up. So you can see Talon's excited. I actually had to tell him on this one, hey, pay attention here, because he was, I know that's my buck now. Beautiful buck. Talon, for the first time, has gotten one of his offspring to 2.5 years old, and so he's very excited about this, and honestly, he's looking for a payday, and I don't blame him. That's what we do as farmers. We look for those paydays. We enjoy raising the deer to get to that point, but we do make a living. This is how we make a living. Talon's looking at doing this to make a living, and this is his first little chance at doing it. So he is excited for the potential of a payday next fall.
He has invested his life into this farm, and now after picking a straw of semen, which was out of Hoosier, the anticipation, now he's on the other side of it. It's not just all the labor, now it's the fruits of his labor that has come to harvest.
After reading the tag number on the last deer, Talon realizes the last buck is not his. It's a devastating blow.
The better of the two bucks that are left is indeed not Talon's buck. Then the question remains, where's his buck at?
You know, Talon is sick to his stomach and bewildered. I'm sick to my stomach going, okay, we're missing Talon's buck. I can't be missing a deer because of all of the testing programs. So where is it?
Farming whitetails is not an easy job. It takes knowledge, patience, and love for an animal that can take you on an emotional roller coaster 24/7, 365 days a year. And just when you think the story is over, news is received that Talon's buck was already processed.
He was in the very first 5 deer that we darted and de-antlered and didn't even know it. The buck was in the pictures, but just wasn't recorded on the paperwork. Talon's buck is with the rest of the group. At least we found it.
Luckily, with everything being filmed, the producer went back through and he found the footage of Talon's buck.